Hello lovelies, how you all doing? I hope you're well. I'm in the shed, I'm talking a bit funny. Okay, so it's a couple of days since I came back to the garden after my 2.5 week absence. Today is exactly 3 weeks ago since I did any gardening. That's a huge amount of time to leave the garden alone at this time of year, as I've already said. So I talked about possibly doing a tour that day when I'd come to, just see how everything is. Well, two things. One, I think I was overly excited. I felt really tired. I think I just need to pace myself, get back into the swing of things a bit. But also, in that excitement, I did a load of harvesting. Well, just a little harvest. But then I suddenly thought, I need to get home. I need to get this all, processed and, either cooked or frozen or at least in the fridge. We want our food fresh, don't we? So I decided not to film the tour that day. And like I said, it was a couple of days ago. So the plan was, you can tell there's been a change of plan, can't you? The plan today was to come down here and do the tour for the beginning of August, knowing full well it was going to be super messy. Funnily enough, in the interim, Paul has put out his August tour. I'll try to remember to do the card. Which side does the card go? That side? Tag that. And he was saying it's the messiest tour he's ever going to have shown for August. You know what, Paul? I see your mess and I raise you some more mess. But I just thought, you know what, let's get on with the tour, warts and all. Part of the reason for doing that, I'm getting to things, this is going to be a bit chatty. Part of the reason I thought, let's just do the tour as everything is because the garden is so much a chaos. I mean, it's just such a chaos. I hardly know where to begin. There's a lot of work to do. It's all lovely work. And it's all work I will enjoy, but there's a lot of it. And because at the end of July I didn't get all that stuff done that I was supposed to, that's been moved into August. And literally just looking at the first 3 weeks of August, I was trying to plan it out last night. I was thinking, I'm only going to get 2 days in the garden in the next 3 weeks. That's crazy. That would be 2 days in 6 weeks. It's not enough. It's not enough. So I'm trying to rejig things, jiggle things around, because the garden, it does have to be a priority. It is one of my big priorities because it's my food. So yeah, trying to rejig things. I have rejigged one chunk of stuff. I'm trying to think out loud. I sort of moved it into the last week of August so that next week there should be some time for the garden. I need to get the onions out because I need to get brassicas in. I need to get the new potatoes out because I need to get brassicas in, etc., etc. So, yeah, I was going to film warts and all because there's so much to do. There's no point in me trying to start doing anything because it will take me so long that by the time I show you a tour, it'll be the end of the month. And I, generally speaking, always do the tour at the beginning of the month. So the other sort of rationale for doing that is, firstly, to show everyone, no, my garden isn't perfect. Of course it's not. It does get messy. I want to neaten things up, partly because I'm a neat freak, put my hand up to that, but also partly to, to look after my crops. I don't want everything sitting on the ground because things might rot on the ground. We're having a wet summer. I need to get things up and off. So one of the ideas today was that by doing the tour, when I edit it and then I can watch it back in my own time later in the day, the following morning, I can sit down with a pen and paper and make a note of all the jobs that need doing, and then I can prioritise them. It may seem daft to some, but I actually do want to cut the grass. That is going to be one of my top jobs. It's one of those funny things, isn't it? that kind of messiness of the grass, it gets into my head and it messes my head up. I can't think straight. I mean, it's not the number one priority. The number one priority are my plants. So that was the thinking, do a tour, and then that'll help me decide what jobs need doing and where the priorities are. And then I thought, having filmed that, we can then get stuck into some of the work, and I can talk about what the priorities are and why they're priorities, etc, etc, etc. So I arrived in the garden a couple of hours ago now, and I thought, oh, I know what I'm going to do first of all, before I even do any filming. I'm going to try and put a brace in on that bean arch that was flopping over. I've shot myself in the foot this year by not getting that sorted sooner. That's okay. That'll be a job to remind myself next year. I've got my plan for next year already. Everything starts earlier. So I did that, and my neighbours were here, so we were having a nice chat and a catch up, talking about gardens, but talking a lot about the Olympics. So I'd done the bean arches, and then I thought, oh, I'm just going to have a quick look around the garden, see what squash I might have coming, so that when I do the tour, I know which leaf to lift up to show you. Did a bit of that. I didn't really find any. And then, oh, how are the tomatoes doing? Yeah, you guessed it. Blight. So, I'm trying not to be upset. There are some obvious signs of blight on some of the leaves. I'd half anticipated this. I'd made up a sort of disinfecting mix and brought that with me. Separate set of secateurs, separate set of gloves. I've gone round all the plants, cut out anything that's bad that I can see. It's gone into a bin bag. Give the secateurs a wipe down with the disinfectant, move to the next plant, etc. I've got a whole bin of bad material. You know, it's just so hard to take, isn't it? I know, look, I'm not special, and of course not. So many people have had blight this year, and Paul, God love him, he had it, I think it's 4 weeks ago, and had to take out his entire planting. I think it was something like 75, 76 plants. And he was incredibly philosophical about it. I take my hat off to him. And he talked about, how we use the word devastation, and to say, he's not devastated. You'd be devastated if you lost your home to a flood. And he's quite right. However, I'm not as philosophical as Paul. I probably, hopefully I will be in an hour or two, but I do feel devastated. I'm going to try and save what's there. We'll go out in a minute and do that together. I do feel devastated because it's like, imagine you work for a boss, imagine you work for someone for 4 or 5 months, and you know that you have to work for your boss for 6 months, and at the end of 6 months you'll get your pay. Imagine if you got to month 5 of working for your boss, and your boss said, oh, by the way, yeah, we're not going to be able to pay you after all. And you've done all that work, and there's going to be no pay at the end of it. So it's kind of how I feel about the possibility that I'm going to lose the lot. Like I say, I'm going to try and do some remedial work today. We'll go out in a second. It's quite windy. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me. But the chances are I'm going to lose the lot. And, I know what the trolls will say. Oh, well, you can just go to the shops and buy them. Yeah, well, of course I can. Of course I can do that. But that's to miss the point of it's been an investment. And I think that's always the tough thing for home growers, is we invest a lot into the plants. And usually, more often than not, we are rewarded plentifully for that investment. It's not the cost of the seed. I saved my own seed. That's not cost me anything. I haven't spent money on canes this year. I bought those canes last year. There's not been any, financial cost laid out, but it's the time cost. It's the time of, since the beginning of June, maybe it's only 2 hours a week of time spent on tomato cares. But I could have done something else with that time that would have earned me money. And if I'd earned the money, I could then just go out and buy tomatoes. So yeah, it's beyond disappointing, I absolutely know that a lot of you who are growers will understand that kind of effort, no reward. And I think if you're living very frugally, if you're trying to be self-sufficient, or as self-sufficient as possible, it just strikes one as particularly hard, because like I said, I could have, if I'd spent that time doing something else, on the bright side, where I live, there are good markets, or there are good non-chain supermarkets which sell big boxes of tomatoes fairly cheaply at this time of year. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just invest in some tomatoes now at the height of summer, do my normal bottling and preserving and freezing with those, because say by the winter they will double in price. So maybe if I invest a load of money in tomatoes, bought tomatoes now, I'll look at the costings of it actually, because it's been so long. This is the great thing, it's been so long since I bought any tomatoes. I don't know the price of fresh tomatoes, and I don't know the price of tinned tomatoes, canned tomatoes. So I look at the price of a can of tomatoes, excuse me, and I'll see if it's worth the time and energy to preserve right now, and the cost of fresh tomatoes right now. So if the cost of the fresh tomatoes plus my time and energy taken to roast, skin, preserve, whatever, bottle, if that's going to be more than the cost of a tin of tomatoes in the winter, you know what, I just won't bother. I won't bother. It just doesn't make sense to spend money and time if it's something I can buy later on. The big difference, of course, is in my area, what I don't see for sale is big crates of organic tomatoes. They're mostly not organic, and a lot of them are imports. What a dilemma. Just to say very quickly as well, the other reason for not filming the tour is because I got down here, went to turn my camera on, and I've left the camera card, the memory card, at home in the computer. So annoying. I have a spare card with me, but it's only got about, I don't know, so I looked at about 25 minutes of time on it, and I just thought, I don't know whether I'll fit the tour into that, because there's a lot to show. So as far as the tour is concerned, I'll come back tomorrow to do that. In terms of the tomatoes now, what have I done? Well, so far with, like I say, a separate set of gloves, a separate set of secateurs, my rag with a disinfectant on, a bin bag. I've gone through all the plants and very carefully cut out the slightest, tiniest little sign of blight. One complete tomato is already blighted, as in the fruit. Cut those off, get them into the bag, clean my secateurs before I make the next cut on the next plant or whatever. All of that stuff, the bag tied up, it's all come back to the shed, the secateurs and the gloves. Those gloves will not be used in the garden again today. I've now got some clean gloves and a clean trog to go and hopefully do some remedial work I don't think there's any point in doing an aspirin spray now, but I'm going to do some remedial work in the hopes that some of that fruit will ripen. I'll probably give it one more week, see how they go, and if all the plants are starting to look dodgy, I'm just going to have to cut the fruits off and destroy the plants, and hopefully some of the fruits will ripen. We'll see. So come on, it's a bit blustery, but let's go and do some snipping. Ay, caramba. So I think there's only one thing for it now, and that is I'm just going to get off the remaining foliage, that great big long shoot. The idea with this is, oh, I hope, any blight that's whizzing around in the air from other plots there's nothing for it to land on. Well, not as much, but also let's now put whatever time, energy the plant has got left, let's put that into developing the fruits that are set. You know, expose them to air and light. Hopefully that'll help them to ripen. But if I'm cutting the tops out as well, the plant's not putting any energy into trying to develop any more fruit sets. Like I said, hopefully that can all go into these fruits now. And oh yeah, just hopefully nothing for the blight spores to land on. Ay, caramba. Oh, you're a big chunky one. And of course, also getting all this off as well. We're due rain this afternoon. At a pretty black sky up there. By getting all of this off, when we do have rain, oh, this is heartbreaking. It's not as heartbreaking as taking the whole plant out. But yeah, when we do have rain, the plants aren't going to be sitting damp all afternoon, the rest of the day, because there's nothing for the rain to sit on. Phew. I think we've been spoilt in a way because for the last 2 years we've had drought. It kind of sounds daft to say we've been spoilt by drought, but the fact is, because we've been so warm and dry. Last year we had no rain in March, no rain in April. We had, I think it was 3 drizzly days in May, and then nothing till the very end of September. Because of that, for the last couple of years, I've been harvesting my tomatoes right to the end of September into October. Not a sign of blight anywhere. Absolutely. I mean, kind of unheard of. We all remarked on it on site that these last couple of years. I remember last autumn clearing the last of my tomatoes, and Catherine on her plot was doing the same. We were kind of laughing, saying, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous to be harvesting fresh tomatoes. Second week of October. So yeah, I think we've been spoiled because of that. And this has been a much, much more usual British summer. Not overly hot, warm and wet. Which blight loves. Oh dear. Okay, well, it's going to take me a while. I'll get this lot done. I'll show you when it's all done. Oh dear. This is the gardener's delight. Most vines have just 1, 2, 3 trusses on. In a good year, there'd be 6. Rose de Berne, 1 truss, 1 truss, 1, start of a second, just about 2, the Amish paste behind, 1 truss each. Oh, this one's got 2. 1 truss, 2. Oh, let's just hope they come to something. Oh, it makes me sad. Let's see if that helps. Getting rid of all that foliage. Let's see if any of them ripen. Keep a really close eye on what is left of the plants, the stems, because it's really, really important to remember, if you garden communally, in a communal space, it's really, really important to remember that we have a duty to our fellow gardeners to remove diseased plants pronto. I know that there are at least two plots on site that have blight. I was warned about it a couple of days ago. One of them has removed their entire lot straight away. The other person hasn't. The longer that person leaves their blighted plants in, the more time that blight has got to blow in the breeze and spread. Anyway, yeah, so if you garden communally, keep a really close eye. Take action as soon as you see a problem. Fingers crossed. Those leaves I cut out early this morning, the bits I cut out with my separate gloves, my disinfected secateurs, etc., they were tiny, the tiniest specks on leaves. So hopefully getting rid of all of those, and now the rest of my foliage, there isn't blight on the stems to blow onto someone else's plot, but I will be keeping a close eye. And if it looks like those plants, the first sign, the entire lot will come out. So yes, I am gutted and a bit fed up about that, because like I was saying in the beginning, I've invested and possibly not going to get a reward. Or if these come to fruition, it's probably going to be a third of what I would normally hope to get from the garden. So I'm just going to have to hope that other stuff does well. You know, like last year, the beans hated the dry summer. Hated it. So who knows, maybe this year will be a great bean year because it's been so wet. I haven't even had a proper look in the beans yet. I was so this morning as soon as I saw that blight. So yeah, we win some, we lose some. I think generally speaking, as a bit of a prediction, I don't think this is going to be my best year ever. The salads, eaten. I'm not seeing very many squash on plants. Tomatoes look like it might be a washout, but like I said, hopefully, you know, fingers crossed for the beans. The spuds I've had out so far have been lovely and plentiful. The cabbages, the brassicas, I mean, look like they're thriving. The ones that are in the ground, I need to get the others out. So hopefully I'll have some lovely brassicas this winter. Oh my goodness, no carrots this winter at all. Oh, I haven't looked at the parsnips. I haven't checked on the transplanted parsnips. I'm boiling and sweating again. Pros, cons. Imbalance though. I think we're going, a bit con. Never mind. Okay, my lovelies, I'm going to wrap up there because, yeah, I'm fed up. Fed up. I'm going to go home. You know, it's days like today where I say to myself, okay, you're going to have to do something else with your day. You're going to have to do something else that will earn you a bit of money so you can buy some tomatoes later in the year. And I've got a few more nice bits and bobs to put in the shop which need some attention, so I will see to those. Some more linens to wash and press, I'll get on with that. And I'll try to, you know, I'll just try to turn this day around. Having said that, I think it's absolutely okay and normal to feel a bit miserable for a minute. It's not been an easy year, has it? Hey ho, hey ho. Trying to find something positive. Let's make the most of what we do have. Beans, peppers, the brassicas, the lavender, the calendula. Yeah, there's other stuff to be pleased about. I'm going to go and look at the flowers right now to cheer myself up. So I will see you all again really soon for the tour. Next time I'll remember to bring my camera card with me. And I can show you, warts and all, what I was intending to show you today. But we'll do it tomorrow. Alright, lovelies. Until then, please look after yourselves. Keep a close eye on your plants. I hope all of your tomatoes are faring better than mine. I know a load of you had blight already. You know that I sympathise with you. Deep breath, everyone. Cheerio.